Tonight on a special Nightline, life and death in the most dangerous place in the world.
This could get real dicey real quick.
Fear, courage, adrenaline, unfiltered.
Hey, Olsen, kid, give him some down low.
On the front lines of the fight in Afghanistan, this is war up close and personal.
From the global resources of ABC News, with Terry Moran, Martin Bashir, and Cynthia McFadden in New York City. This is Nightline, November 12, 2007.
Good evening. Tonight, on this special edition of Nightline, we bring you an unfiltered and unvarnished look at the brutal reality of war. The conflict in Iraq is the one we hear most about, and yet just 900 miles away in Afghanistan, some 25,000 American troops are fighting and dying. In this year alone, 100 American soldiers have been killed amid reports that the Taliban is resurgent and gaining ground. In a joint project with our colleagues at Vanity Fair, we were given exclusive access to one platoon's experience in the hills and valleys of northeastern Afghanistan. Joining me now is our chief investigative correspondent, Brian Ross. Brian?
Martin, this is the untold story of the hard-fought battles that are part of the daily routine for U.S. soldiers in Afghanistan. For all the modern might of the American military, it is the skill and determination, the guts of each individual soldier that makes the difference there. You're about to see some of the most remarkable footage ever shot in any war, thanks to some courageous journalists who were granted unique access to the 173rd Airborne and the tough 2nd Platoon of its battle company. It is the untold story of the other war. The call to prayer at sunrise in the Korangal Valley of Afghanistan. For U.S. troops going after the Taliban and Al-Qaeda, searching for Osama bin Laden, this is the forward point. And the most dangerous point. As seen in this dramatic footage, shot by journalists on assignment there for the magazine Vanity Fair and ABC News Nightline.
Hey, to the left of it!
Including author Sebastian Younger.
We just got hit by ACM across the valley.
I was with the 2nd Platoon of Battle Company in the 173rd Airborne. And 2nd Platoon is at this little outpost called Firebase Phoenix. And there's about 30 of them there, and they're considered the point of the spear of the American effort to bring influence and control into the Korangal Valley.
Part of that is an attempt to win the hearts and minds of the people who live here.
2-2, did you copy the last?
That's what the 30 men of the 2nd Platoon, led by Lieutenant Matt Piosa, were supposed to be doing on this day in June as they went to meet with the elders of the village of Aliabad.
I just wanted to come in and talk to you briefly about the pipe project.
They want to put in a pipe project in Aliabad. The idea behind a pipe project is you bring water into a village, you have the goodwill of the villagers, they won't support the Taliban. That's the idea behind counterinsurgencies.
But as the 2nd Platoon left the village on this day, they received a radio message that they were about to be hit.
Oh, Tracy came right by here. South! Hey! Oh, there's fire coming. They're shooting over there. We have 2 spots over there, too. No, you can't get up. Hey!
In an instant, 2nd Platoon was under a full-scale attack, virtually surrounded by enemy fire.
Got something over there! Taking fire from the east, vicinity Donga, and fire from the south. Had a couple tracers come in real close from the south.
It was an expected attack.
My location.
We got down behind this wall, started shooting back, and called in artillery to hit the hillside opposite us. That's artillery going in right now. That's support fire from the top, from the base right down there.
I found myself having a very hard time sticking my head above the wall to shoot anything with my camera. That was very, very hard for me. But the soldiers, they stood up, returned fire. Every single soldier was, as far as I could tell, essentially operating in their unit and fearless.
It's the war these men signed up to fight.
Oh yeah, you're scared.
You're scared?
Yeah, I mean, we had ample cover, but I mean, my knees were bent 90 degrees, you know, squatting for the entire, whatever, I don't know, 45-hour we were out there shooting, engaging.
Specialist Brian Underwood left an office job in Chicago to fight the terrorist responsible for 9/11. He's dedicated each of the giant shells he carries to someone back home.
We got for Mom, for Terrence, my girlfriend, for Doug, he was in Vietnam, my stepdad, for Jenna, it's my sister. I'll be off.
For Underwood and the 2nd Platoon, the days at the base camp are marked by long stretches of boredom, cleaning weapons, catching up on sleep, playing with the platoon dog, Tank.
Anything moving outside this wire, yeah, Tank, you'll just watch. You hear him, he'll sit here, growl, and then just run to wherever there's movement. You're like, oh, you got mail.
The mail comes about once a week. Some letters more welcome than others. Underwood heard from his girlfriend, Sergeant Erin Hajar, from a debt collector.
Good to know they're keeping track of how much I owe them. I mean, God knows what would happen if I didn't pay them back, you know?
I got a letter from my girlfriend Taryn. She always smell it. Yeah, she always makes it smell real good.
Mine doesn't smell like anything but debt.
But the next attack is never far away.
You got eyes on him? He's down in the draw! How close?
Sometimes a full-out assault.
Hey, Olsen, keep giving him some down low. There, you're doing good.
Other times, just a lone gunman who can pin down the entire platoon.
Hey, he's on that bridge line.
Hunter, what's going on right now?
Getting shot at by single-shot Freddy.
Who's that?
I have a feeling he's a blind Afghan man somewhere between the ages of 60 and 75 years old. And he likes to scare the shit out of us with these single shots that he takes.
One big problem is fire coming from the houses in the village, where Taliban and al-Qaeda fighters put women and children on the roof, so U.S. forces, under their rules of engagement, cannot return fire.
They're on the roof of the building. It looks like a woman. Oh, she's got a kid. Correction. She's got one in her hands.
It is a huge frustration for U.S. forces and has led to repeated showdowns between the village elders and the company commander, Captain Daniel Kearney.
What do I do when they start shooting at me? Am I supposed to not shoot back at them and turn around and go and ask you if I can shoot at them, if they're bad or not?
Kearney allowed our cameras to record this meeting with the village elders, a rare insight into why progress has been so difficult for U.S. forces here.
So they're shooting at you just as much as they're shooting at me. If you want me to stop shooting, then you tell them to stop shooting. If they're shooting at us from your village, then I'm going to shoot into your village.
That was June. In the next few months, the situation would only get worse in the Korengal Valley.
We return now to Brian Ross's report on the 2nd Platoon at the so-called point of the spear, the leading edge in the fight to hunt down Osama bin Laden and secure a dangerous corner in Afghanistan. But they're about to learn that an attack on a local village suspected of harbouring Taliban fighters can have devastating consequences.
Under the cover of darkness late last month, the men of the 2nd Platoon moved out to become the lead element in one of the biggest military actions in Afghanistan since the initial invasion 6 years ago. This is the first on-the-scene reporting of a battle the U.S. Army has said little about.
My element will be the first element that will air assault.
Called Operation Rock Avalanche, it was meticulously planned, with a sand and dirt mock-up of the areas in the Korengal Valley that would become a deadly battleground. The targets were the suspected hideouts of Taliban and al-Qaeda foreign fighters.
The lumberyard is where we believe that there's a lot of the caches.
Each squad leader was called on to review his assignment, including Sergeant Larry Rubel, who leads the scouts, the soldiers who take point.
My task is to occupy an internal support by fire.
At age 25, Sergeant Rubel of West Jordan, Utah, would 4 days later become the first U.S. casualty of Operation Rock Avalanche. His good friend, Sergeant Kevin Rice of Wisconsin, would be seriously injured.
Vegas is over here.
I think it'll be a good operation, but I think that there's definitely a high probability that somebody will probably get hurt.
Now the back steps.
As the 2nd Platoon packed up to go, the men told cameraman Tim Hetherington they were nervous.
I'm always nervous. Sometimes I hate it. I like the camaraderie, but the constant firefights suck. I'm ready to go back to Chicago.
On the first day, 2nd Platoon drew the toughest assignment, moving directly into a village called Yakachina, which U.S. intelligence reports said was full of insurgent fighters.
If there's something in there, this could get real dicey real quick.
But when the men moved in, it was a different kind of dicey. An earlier rocket attack by U.S. helicopters on this house had killed 5 people and injured at least 7 more, including children. The village elders are furious and not at all pleased at the tack taken by 2nd Platoon Lieutenant Piosa, who demands to know who is hiding the Taliban fighters and why so many weapons have been discovered in the village.
If you tell me where caches are, where they're keeping their weapons, where the bad guys are, we'll go get them right now. You know, I could offer you something that would help your family. Whether it's food, money.
An elder says there are no Taliban in the village.
He said that there is 5 guys already dead. Show me which of them is the Taliban.
Are you calling me a liar that I got shot at last night? They're in amongst your village. And I'm sure there's somebody standing here that knows where they're keeping weapons.
As tensions escalate, U.S. helicopters take out the injured children for medical treatment and bring in Captain Kearney and his boss, the battalion commander, Colonel William Ostler, to try again to calm things down with the elders.
They pay your sons a small amount of money to go ahead and shoot at my soldiers, and my soldiers end up killing your sons. I don't like you being in the middle. I want you to live a good, peaceful, safe, stable life.
But it does not go well. And later, Captain Kearney tells our cameraman the elders want revenge for the deaths of the villagers killed in the airstrike.
The elders basically want jihad down here in the Korengal, and whatever they want, they're here to assist, so we'll see what happens. But it doesn't sound very good for us, huh?
It was a sense that we were now going to be hunted, and that was not a great feeling.
The jihad begins on a beautiful fall day in the Korengal Valley.
Good morning. I'm doing this for you people. You see this? This is great, right?
As they eat breakfast, the 2nd Platoon does not know it. But Taliban fighters are setting up an ambush in the hills overlooking the village.
Fun begin.
There's chaos as the shooting begins and the adrenaline flows.
I'm the wrong one to play with. This is what we get paid to do. This is it right here.
Then comes word that the scouts have been hit. Under fire, the men, with our cameraman right with them, rushed to the scene.
And we ran up to the ridge expecting there to be fighting, and instead we came across the scene of the scouts and of part of 2nd Platoon that had suffered casualties.
A grim discovery.
Who's over there? Who's over there? Oh my God. Hey, move.
I saw that Sergeant Rugel had been shot, and I saw there was just pandemonium.
Calm down, there's still guys out here, okay? There's still enemies. Alright? Move, man! Move! It's alright, still out there.
It was a really awful sight, very hard sight to digest, where men were in such a state of shock. You know, I think I was in a state of shock too.
Hey, they took fire from right over here. Okay?
Two friends, Sergeant Rugel on the left, Sergeant Rice on the right, had both been shot.
There's nothing we can do, bro. There's nothing we can do.
They got surprised and Rugel was shot. Yeah, he was killed instantaneously. Rice was shot through the stomach and he managed to walk out of there.
It was Rice's third Purple Heart.
Hey, you guys need to get this one out of here.
Commanders moved quickly to get their men back into the battle.
But you need to push back. We got not enough cover here.
I know, man.
You need to push back.
I know.
Come on, pull it together, man. Come on, bro.
Yeah, it's my fault, man. It's not your fault. There's nothing.
Basically, right now, where we were being attacked in at least 270 degrees of contact. Taking contact from the west, south, and the east. I don't know what else to say.
In war, there is no time to grieve.
A devastating blow to the platoon. When we come back, how they find the strength to keep fighting. We return once more to Brian Ross's report on the 2nd Platoon of the 173rd Airborne's Battle Company fighting for every inch of ground in the hazardous hills of eastern Afghanistan. In the first 5.5 months since its deployment, the 173rd has already fought 450 separate battles with the Taliban and Al-Qaeda and lost 16 soldiers. We rejoin them now after they've suffered a devastating loss. But there's no time for grief. They're still a long way from safety or security.
In the Korangal Valley of Afghanistan, getting out is the hard part.
I'm not leaving any men behind. I'm sure not leaving any equipment behind either.
There would be another ambush and another.
2251, 2255. If we got A-10s, I want gun runs from east to west coming in, okay?
And more death for the men of the 173rd Airborne Battle Company could reach safety. Sergeant Joshua Brennan of Oregon would be the next to fall.
The insurgents came to try and drag his body away whilst he was alive, and a medic nearby Mendoza ran up and tried to save him.
Specialist Hugo Mendoza of Arizona, a medic known to his men as Doc, was shot dead as he kept the Taliban from taking Brennan alive.
Brennan was taken out by helicopter later, but died of his wounds.
The paratroopers of the 173rd Airborne paid a heavy price in Operation Rock Avalanche, which commanders say achieved its goal of disrupting the Taliban and Al-Qaeda cells in the villages here.
I think we've stirred up the hornet's nest in the entire valley. I think we killed quite a few of them. I think the bad thing is that we did kill a couple innocent civilians. And the valley elders I think they're kind of turning against us a little bit.
In their first 6 months in the Korangal Valley, the 2nd Platoon has suffered a killed or wounded rate of about 1 in 4. They will be here for another 9 months in the front lines of the other war.
Our admiration for the brave soldiers on the front lines and our prayers with the families of those who gave their lives. And you can read Sebastian Younger's full report and see Tim Hetherington's photographs in the January edition of Vanity Fair on newsstands the first week of December. And our thanks to Brian Ross. We'll be right back. Tomorrow on Nightline, the dinosaur hunter. He's found the most complete Tyrannosaurus Rex skeleton ever discovered, and we go out with him to Montana, where there's a bounty to be had of bones. But Peter Larson has realised it's not just a bounty for science. In fact, there's a tidy profit to be made in dealing in dinosaurs.
The first bones were found right about in here, and I said, man, that's a T-Rex. We got to go find more of this. You can see, oh, this is going to be a nice turtle. This is the front of the turtle. This is what's called the plastron, or the base of the turtle. You can see the carapace, the very top of the turtle here. We do things maybe a little more quickly than most museums would do it because we're so experienced. We know what we're doing, and we can, I won't say cut corners, but we can expedite things.
Our correspondent Brian Rooney will bring us the story of the dinosaur hunter tomorrow on Nightline. But that's our report for tonight. I'm Martin Bashir. For Terry Moran, Cynthia McFadden, and all of us at ABC News, good night, America.